Hello, this is a video on color application. It's been designed originally for my Art 1 students who are learning cross contour, but you can find some tips in here that will help you with other projects as well. Before actually starting color application, I do recommend breaking up the background with more forms or lines. It will add more visual interest and it will make color application much easier. Large expanses of background can make good craftsmanship a challenge for some students because they start to lose interest and get sloppy. So you can see how there are just small enclosed spaces of background rather than large uninterrupted ones. And here with the background actually being black, you can see how they are separated by different types of lines and different forms. Tracing carefully with a Sharpie is a good idea for cross contour because once we start with color, your cross contour lines can get covered up, they can get lost. And that's especially if you're using darker colors like blue or purple. So you can pick whichever Sharpie is applicable to your project or the lines that you're trying to trace so that you're not filling in your forms too much and that gets done neatly. You're going to be, once you're ready to do color, picking a light source. And that can come from a direction, such as the left or the right, the top or the bottom, or the light could come out of an object. And that is going to be your choice. But once you've selected that light source, you're going to shade your objects accordingly. So in this example, you can see that the light's coming kind of from up here in the upper left-hand corner. And if you drag your finger to the different objects, you can see which part of each object is getting lit up first. And this one that's more completed, you can see that it's pretty much coming from the left side here. Now there's going to be objects that overlap each other, and when that happens, those objects will cast shadows on each other or on the background. So if you direct your attention to these yellow stairs, you can see that when the light comes from this direction, the stairs are going to cast a shadow on the object underneath here, and then it will move to the background over here. So keep an eye out for objects that overlap and how they will cast shadows on each other. I would recommend doing a little bit of practice before you start shading. This is just kind of my practice sheet that I use at the beginning of each project, and I have another one here. So if you want to get a piece of rough draft paper to practice, or if you want to practice on your rough draft from your project, you can do that as well. One thing you should work on is transitions between values. So here I've got a violet colored pencil, and I'm going to go from dark to light, but you could go from light to dark as well. Just work on adjusting your pressure, easing up gently as you transition from one value to the next. So when we're talking about a value scale, we're talking about dark, medium, light, and all of the values in between. So you can practice that with different colors going in both directions, light to dark and dark to light. Another thing that's really going to help your work is to blend colors to increase your value range. Now within your colored pencils, you might find a pretty wide variety of different shades of green, different shades of blue. You'll have a few oranges, a yellow orange, a red orange. Some of your colors you'll be a little bit more limited. But by blending colors, you will increase your value range from dark to light. So in this example, you can see that I had a wide variety of greens. I had some darker greens, I had some medium greens, I had some lighter greens, but I could also incorporate yellow for a highlight, and I can incorporate black for a shadow. You'll find that cool colors like blue, green, and purple will work better with black as a shadow if you need to go that dark. But if you're working with warm colors, and especially with yellow, incorporate brown as your darkest shadow. It's just a much more natural transition then black. And sometimes your colors will actually start to turn green, yellow and orange if you incorporate black into that with colored pencil, and it's probably not going to be the look that you're going for. When you are creating the contour of your forms, it's a good idea to turn your paper. And this is so your hand will more naturally follow with the edge of the form that you're filling in. And with this sphere here, I'm just doing a light layer of the violet so that I can start getting to where I want to be with this right here. I can press harder in the areas that I know are going to be darker. You can tell from this sphere here that the light is coming from this direction. And just filling in with a little bit more violet, adjusting that pressure like we were talking about with the practice. I feel like purple comes out much richer if I incorporate a little bit of blue. As well as a little bit of pink or magenta. So you can experiment. I mean, your rough draft paper is just a perfect thing for you to experiment on so that you can get what it is that you're looking for. Really is a layering process. Start to get some black in there as well. Demonstrate the overlap, makes the one in front of it pop. And that's pretty good. You can keep working until you just get those really nice, smooth, subtle transitions between your values. One other thing you want to keep in mind as far as your light source goes, if the light is coming from the left, then we know that the left side of our objects will be lighter and they'll get darker as they move to the right. But when you talk about openings, it's actually going to work in reverse. So you'll have lighter areas here at the opening where the light's going to hit it first, and then as you go deeper into the form, in this case it's a box, deeper into the box, it's going to keep getting darker. Some optional things that you can do, using a colored pencil blender or a white colored pencil to smooth out the little light areas in between your shading. I would recommend practicing this on a piece of rough draft paper first because it can make your values darker, and if that's not really what you were looking for, you would want to avoid that. But it does help to smooth out some of those little areas in there where you might have gaps between your color. So that is all for our color application video, and you can use that in cross contour as well as for future projects.